Penske, and they're in more Kit Kat rammers than Penguin rammers, aren't they, to be fair, in that red and white.
It's almost got a bit of tonic wafer about it, the Salzburg stripes.
Of course. We need a bit more silver in them for that, though.
Yeah, Uni would come in. Of course, it's got, as Duncan said, that's not plaid, that's tartan. In our Michelin Countdown to Green show on IMSA Radio. And it's then got the shiny Tunnocks caramel wafer silver. Anyway, that's making me hungry.
So 23 hours, 18 minutes and 40 seconds. Quick shout out, by the way, to all the PRs and marketing help that we get from the teams. Barbara Burns in particular have been helping out our pit lane crew for some water in that countdown to green in the early phases of the race. It's fair to say that they are welcomed with open arms right up and down the pit lane, and that helps them and therefore us with what we're trying to find out. It's been a brilliant week so far here at Daytona International Speedway, from the ladies and gentlemen on the gates checking our passes, helping us park the cars, and the very lovely Betty, who is in one of the lifts elevators that brings us up here to the 5th floor, doing their work. Very busy this week, the busiest I've ever seen it since we've been here. Always with a smile on their face, always courteous. Thank you very much indeed to everyone here at Daytona International Speedway. Peter Mackay and John Hindorf, hello, that's me. Ryan Marine just stepping out for a moment, he'll be back in a wee while, with Bruce Jones as well. Duncan Vincent is swapping out for Peter Snowden as we speak at the moment. Arjuna Kankapati staying in the pit lane, and a wee bit later we'll have Neil Cole stepping in. Some new names, some new voices to get used to if you're joining us here as a regular, although most of those you'll have heard us working with at some stage in the past on various different broadcasts that we've covered down through the years. Jack Aiken, 11th in GTP, getting the throttle down, getting the throttle pedal down and accelerating out of the Le Mans chicane.
Cases factory drivers and drivers who perhaps don't make their prime living from racing, so it's more of a mix. But the front running cars, for example, Philip Ellis, who's a top factory level driver, he is making it difficult for those at the back of the GTD Pro field. Meanwhile, in LMP2 is a little bit of a light skirmish going on at the International Horseshoes. The number 73 Pratt & Miller LMP2 battling with the number 18 ERA car, which was involved in that early incident. So there's still a couple of cars that haven't in LMP2. We're all a little bit off sequence because the LMP2 cars that were involved in that early schmozzle, they had to come in and get bits of repair and all.
Number 57 AMG, he is out of the car. Let's check in with Arjuna, who's watching the McLaren pit stop.
And Dean McDonald staying in the car, John, one of the few GTD drivers and teams we haven't seen the driver change from. In front of me, Turner Motorsports, the split livery, Patrick Gallagher's up on the wall as well. And there's a big fire, lots of smoke, John, from one of our GTD machines. I believe it's one of the Triazzi Ferraris that currently is bathed in white smoke.
Spot on, Arjuna. It was the 033 that is now pulling out, extinguishing left in the pit box. We had a scary moment at the end of night practice on Thursday after the checkered flag, where the AWA run 13 Autosport Corvettes had a fuel fire in the engine bay, actually, and Inception and one or two other teams also dived in to help. So in the midst of the pit stops, the two Corvettes then at the front of the GTD Pro field, they've split, and it will be Alexander Sims who comes in now. He is staying in the car, but he will get a new set of Michelin Pilot Racing tyres, and they are brand new going on there, literally with the stickers on them. Also, one of the Fords coming in right in front of him, I saw there. That was the 65. Thank you, Aaron. The number 65 Ford racing car. That's full service there as well in that new Ford Racing Blue. That so reminds me, do you remember the Ford Racing Puma colour that they had? The wide-bodied front-wheel drive Puma.
The Mark 1, the blue, you got the Mark 1 Focus RS in. I like that too. That's a little bit darker.
Absolutely.
Nick Tandy brings in the AO Racing Porsche. That's Rexy, as it's known by all of the fans around here. AO merchandise all around with all of the many fans who've come here today. One thing I did notice today as well, a lot of McLaren shirts out there as well. Of course, a lot from the Formula 1 side, but great to see Formula 1 fans from McLaren coming to see the Papaya cars here in IMSA.
Yeah, the Ferrari flower in the pit lane, the Triage competition car, that was very simply just the fuel, just a little bit too much, or it just spilled when it came out down the wing onto the brake duct, onto the brake disc apparently, and that was it. So sorted straight away, the car's out, but that's all it was, and they're completely non-fussed about it here, to say the least. My Ferrari on fire, which I haven't got, I wouldn't want.
Bit of snow down there in the pit lane. This is a very busy race on the track and off. We've got listeners from all around the US, all around the States. Don't forget, if you're in the US and you are suitably equipped, no sniggering in the back there, Sirius XM channel 206 this weekend, 107.9 FM around the track. Nicky Katzberg, Tommy Milner and Nico Varone in the number 4 car. Well, Nicky's brought that car in. Did Nicky jump out of that? I didn't see him jump out of that.
No.
I think he's staying in as well. So this will shake things up. We'll give you an interim update in a wee moment. Heart of Racing in the pit lane as well. It'll be a new set of Michelin Pilot Sport rubber there, and they're also looking at the left front brake disc on that car. A bit smoother further down the pit lane with the DXDT number 36 Corvette racing car. That's the mostly blue car, and they're going to have to push that car backwards. Now that is allowed to get out from behind another vehicle. There was no time lost for the Heart of Racing Aston Martin because they were still fueling that car. Now down to Snowy, who's at Manthey.
Well, that's just where we talked about the efficiency of Porsche. At a Porsche run by Manthey, it was complete opposite of the Ferrari minutes ago. Possibly my nomination for the most boring pit stop of the race so far. Stopped on its marks, got refueled, drove off. End of. Simple as that.
It is the way. This is the way, as they might say it.
Unfortunately, some penalties coming in, both in GTD Pro. The Faf Lamborghini, car number 9, pit lane speed violation, a drive-through penalty for that. They've just done a driver change from Sandy Mitchell to James Hinchcliffe. Then it was also the number 69 Bartone brothers Mercedes AMG working on the car from behind the wall. So the Get Speed operated team there picking up a drive-through penalty. So for Anthony Bartone, will need to come in and serve a penalty. Now, in Corvette land at the front of the field in GTD Pro, or what was the front of the field in GTD Pro, they may well recover that back again. There's been a switch, so the number 4 car, Nicky Katzberg, has moved to the front. Now, Katzberg went a lap longer than Alexander Sims did. So again, there's a little bit, if you can stretch your stints out a lap or even 2 laps longer and run the same pace, that can open you up advantages in other ways. Or this could be very much like what we're seeing with the Porsche Penske Motorsport cars, where there's a little bit of formation flying, shall we say. So Katzberg now playing front gunner with his old chum Alex Sims right in behind him.
Continuing the Porsche theme, I've made my way to Wright Motorsport. Elliott Skiers just jumped out of the Porsche 911 GT3R. As far as I understand it,
and married into the great Fittipaldi racing family.
And Formula 1 as well, of course. So yeah, no, he spread it wide in terms of his racing, but always been as popular out of the car as he is in it. A real gentleman of the racing scene. Right, the gap, it's enormous between first and second. Almost an entire second. The last lap's been very kind for the Kiwi race leader Earl Bamber. He worked the traffic better than chasing Julian Andlauer. As you said, a few cars getting into their path, but standing up to look out of our commentary position. Who is going to be next to blink? Who's going to come in from GTP?
Remember when we said this will be a chance for Kalen Frederick to test his mettle against one of the best? He still has Lawrence Vanthor in the rearview mirror.
I did notice it's been a while. He'll have been learning. You've got to learn, you know, in this form of racing, you have to learn to defend as well as to attack. And all the harder in multi-class racing because obviously you've got a huge performance advantage over the slowest cars in the field.
Again, the 6 car ended up there because they had a lengthy pit stop during one of the early yellows. They picked up damage in the opening hour. I wondered at the time, was I seeing just the wrap rubbed off of the carbon, or was there actually a hole in the bodywork? And I had it confirmed to me, Ian McCarthy on X letting me know that it is just clear tape over an actual opening in the bodywork that's not supposed to be there. You can see the battle scars on the right-hand side just in front of the right rear wheel arch on the number 6 car, but he's still able to continue and at a pretty good clip.
Just waiting. I thought we'd have had another one or two of the GTP front runners in for a pit stop because it's quite a few laps ago already that the number 93 car from Marshank that Kakuota took over came in for a pit stop.
And he just had a wild ride through the Le Mans chicane, missed the entry and had to bail on it completely. Arguably could have gained an advantage by doing that. That will be an interesting one for race control to adjudicate. It's not like he went through the tire chicane that's set there. He was clearly out of out of the throttle, giving up any potential time gained there. I think he was either short stopping or they may be short filled on the previous stop, because I was looking at the last time that the other front runners had pitted, and we're still a little bit away from scheduled pit stops. But there is one thing to keep in mind, Bruce. This is not just the first stop on the calendar for the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, but also the Michelin Endurance Cup, which pays points at different times during the course of the race. And sometimes when you see teams pitting at a curious time, it's about positioning themselves to score points at those crucial junctures with that Endurance Cup Championship in mind.
That's where they have to wear, each of the team managers has to wear 2 hats, one for the overall race and one for picking up bonus points, the low-hanging fruit, if you will. But, you know, sometimes you even have to restructure your race strategy just to gather those points when you can. But fairly soon, because already we heard reports from the pit lane that there are drivers suited, booted, ready to go in the top-class cars. So their time will come.
Time for a VP Racing in-race update with just over 20 hours to go. It's Earl Bamber showing the way in the GTP class. Julian Andlauer chasing, but now 1.2 seconds adrift ahead of Sheldon van der Linde in the best of the BMW M-Team WRT BMWs in the 3rd spot. Then Kalen Frederick now up to 4th for JDC Miller. Lawrence Vanthor 5th in the 2nd factory Porsche 963. LMP2 is led by Toby Sowery, CrowdStrike by APR. Then it's Jeremy Clark in the Inter Europol car. That car shown in the pit lane right now, car 43. Dane Cameron for Spike the Dragon. AO Racing car 99 sits 3rd. GTD Pro led by Corvette once again. This time Antonio Garcia fending off the challenge from Andrea Caldarelli, Pfaff Motorsports in the 2nd spot. Ben Barker is 3rd. In GTD, Albert Costa leads Indy Doncha, and Tom Gamble 3rd place in the GTD class. Chance to hear from Alex Palou, fresh out of the number 93 with Neil.
Yeah, Alex Palou is just talking to one of his engineers, and there's big smiles on faces. Alex, talk us through that first stint of the Daytona this year.
Yeah, it was good. Happy to with the first couple hours that I got in the car. The 93 felt really good. We just had a puncture at the end when I had to pit. It was obviously not what we wanted, but still we survived. The car is good.
BMW that have all made their way in as well. It'll be Acura that fire themselves off next. There's a loose wheel for the 60 Acura crew, so that might be a potential penalty, and that almost got ran into by the Cadillac wheeling crew as they left themselves off the lane. A chaotic trip down pit lane as the Michelin Endurance Cup points get paid out for the first time this year.
Well, yeah, usually a wheel without crew is a slam dunk drive-through penalty. That Meyershank Racing number 60 Acura now comes off its jacks. Fuel has gone in, so they're now just losing time now. The number 60 Meyershank crew, this is the 60 MSR car that's won here on several occasions. Now it finally gets moving, confirming, following up on that report from Arjuna, it was a driver change in the number 7 Porsche. Lauren Heinrich jumping out and Felipe Nasr jumping in. Felipe Nasr, that one of the star signings of that Porsche Penske Motorsport program. He'd been with Whelen Engineering for so many of the program, and turned out to be a pretty good signing for both parties, I would think, with a couple of Rolex watches to enjoy. Oh dear, yeah, I think that will be a penalty for the Meyershank Racing crew as the Michelin rolls its way in very nearly into the path.
As well. It was the tyre that was meant to be going on. That's an unusual mistake, isn't it?
Very unusual. I mean, Meyershank Racing are one of the top teams in IMSA. The results show that, and it under the pressure, it can happen. It is a real balancing act to get a pit stop just right. There are so many moving parts, and I think when you watch Formula, and I'm not criticising Formula 1 here at all, but when you watch a Formula 1 pit stop, it's incredibly impressive to see how a car can be serviced in under 2 seconds. But how many people does it take to do that? A lot. Whereas here in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship, there's a limited amount of crew, so there's a lot of work that the crew have to do, and the tyre changers are often carrying 2 tyres at once, and they're running around with a gun in one hand, tyre in the other, and they've got to be so strong. That's why a lot of the top teams will actually hire ex-American football players or ex-athletes who have the physical prowess to do it, and any little advantage they can gain, well, we've seen it be the difference of winning or losing the Rolex 24, how quick your pit crew can service the car at the final stop.
And by the way, if you want to know what it's like to heave around one of those tyres, they're about 23 kilos. Now 23 kilos is what you can check in, the heaviest bag that you can check in. So imagine that in one hand being thrown onto the car with one hand and then bolting it up. Incredible.
That's making my back twinge just thinking about it. Well, we're keeping the BMW theme going here in the commentary booth. Philip Eng joins us.
Suited, booted, and ready to go. If you're dressed like that, shouldn't you be in the pit lane, ready to get in the car, Philip? That's very true, because sometimes even in the winter I wear my Valero fireproof underwear under my motorcycle leathers, because it works quite well as a base layer. Yeah, very good, very good. This is going all right. You happy with this?
So far it's been quite flawless. We were struggling a bit in the raw and during the practice sessions. Obviously many new things in our team. A new team with WRT. We have the Evo package this year, so it was all about dialing in the processes, dialing in the car. There was so much to learn, but the good thing was we always made steps forward rather than backwards. So very happy where we are right now and how it's going, and I hope to continue like that.
Philip, when you go from the raw usage of tyres isn't so much of a problem, but when you're in race week, you're very limited on what you can do with tyres. Tell us where you were in terms of the level of preparation that you felt coming out the road going into practice, and did you feel like you kind of had one hand behind your back trying to prepare, knowing you didn't have the tyres to do it?
Yeah, certainly, and obviously during the raw you had to use many more soft tyres than you would have wished to. But that's the rules. I think it's good. It makes the racing exciting. Also, not knowing really what to expect going into the race in terms of long run pace, in terms of degradation, because obviously this week the conditions have been quite a bit different compared to the raw, compared to the practice sessions. So every lap is a steep learning curve, but so far so good.
Just going to break into that for a second, because we've got a driver who's about to jump into a car down in the pit lane with Peter Snowden. So let's grab a quick word, and then we'll get back with Philippe Eng here in the studio. Who have you got, Peter?
I've got Enzo Fittipaldi from Pratt Miller, and he was just very, very kindly showing me photographs of the damage to the car. Perhaps, probably better if you talk us through it, that you've got to run with this damage for the rest of the race.
Yeah, I mean, that's endurance racing. It's just, you know, part of the game. You know, we have a great team. We have a great car. Chris is doing a great job. Unfortunately, there was some unavoidable contact on the left side. So we have, you know, quite a bit of damage on the left side pod. So we're trying to fix it with every stop we're doing. The team is doing a great job trying to repair the side of the car. But, you know, we're losing a lap here, a lap there, but there's still a long time till the end of the race. So, yeah, we're going to keep pushing hard, and I believe in my team. And, yeah, that's just super happy to be here at Daytona.
Well, that's great, but I mean, just I know you've got to get in the car when it ends up, but just do you have a feel for what effect the damage is having to the car and how you've got to drive around that, or what you've got to do to adapt?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have a pretty big hole on the left side pod, and we lost a big chunk of the left rear, the floor. So, yeah, the only way to fix that properly is to take it back to the garage, but then you're going to lose like 20 laps. So we're just trying to, you know, duct tape everything to make it. And
typical endurance racing.
Yes, typical endurance racing. We'll lose, you know, probably half a second a lap, but it's better this way, and just trying to stay near the lead lap. And we can still fight at the end. So, yeah, that's the ultimate goal. And, yeah, we just have to keep pushing.
Enzo, I know you've got to get in the car. Thank you very much for your time on that update. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Peter Snowden with Enzo Fittipaldi down in the pit. How frustrating is that, Philippe, when this short amount of time, I know we're more than 6 hours into the race, and we've done more than the WEC race already, and you're working with a car that is not at its up.
Leads the way. Really nice job there, weaving around, cleaning those tyres off, and got the jump there on Lauren Heinrich. As you said, this car does have less energy on board, less fuel on board. These cars are very weight sensitive. You'd imagine all the cars right behind them have slightly better tyres right now if they elected to take on fresh Michelins. We're at that point in the race where teams can elect to run that soft tyre between 5 p.m. and 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. We don't have that data, but if you get a close-up shot, the mediums are the yellow-banded Michelins and the softs are the whites.
Look at that scramble behind. There was some hip checking and pushing going on between Colton Herter and Nick Yellowly, and scrambling behind.
Speaking of hip check, did you see Connor Zillage sticking to Scott Dixon on the outside of turn 2? Dixon running out of road there. Zillage, the 19-year-old, absolutely undeterred by a 6-time IndyCar champion and one of the most experienced drivers in this Daytona field.
You got to be careful. Let's remember race control. They don't like it if you get a little ugly on these exits of these corners.
Connor, this is not NASCAR.
Yeah,
it's owned by NASCAR, but this ain't NASCAR.
That's right.
Look at this. The Meyer Shank Acura side by side.
Whoa, someone's a big run right behind them there.
Give up much, but this is going to be a chance right here. The 7's going to have a run.
Oh, watch out, the 93. Massive run by Nick Yellowly.
Oh, wow.
How bad does he want the lead right now? We heard him coasting earlier.
He's going to get help if the 93 drops down, NASCAR style.
Sure is.
Going to give him a little bit of an air push.
Okay, 25 spec Porsche versus 26. Who's got less hero drag here down the front stretch?
Heinrich's got the advantage, though, to the inside. Vanderhelm very wisely knows that. Gives him the corner. That was pretty wild.
It sure was. And just 2.5 minutes until that 6-hour mark. Points paid for Michelin Endurance Cup. Yellowly trying to work on time in Vanderhelm. Vanderhelm's down to just 10% energy left.
The cheerleader, I'll bring out my pom-poms, you know, and give out my biggest cheer I can. But the boys are doing great, and I'll be here to support them, you know, throughout the night, of course.
I'll be watching the pom-poms. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course, thank you.
There you go. That's Conquest Racing number 34, GTD. That's Manny Franco, and he's got a big smile on his face.
As well he should. Lorenzo Patrese, second-generation driver, currently driving that car, sits 4th in a very competitive GTD class. Manny from West Allis, a suburb of Milwaukee, most famous because that's the home of the Milwaukee Mile.
Exactly so. I love these great legendary American races. It's so easy for sponsorship and other deals to fall away, and suddenly the race doesn't have a reason to exist. But you just take your hats off to something that's so established. The marketing that people have made a name, made an event, and those that some of the ones you really, really need to keep. It's heritage.
A few pieces of business we need to clean up, all out of the LMP2 class. Most recently, good news for Pratt & Miller Motorsports. The 73 has returned to the track from behind the wall. That's the car that contributed to the most recent full course yellow when it lost a wheel coming out of the pits.
Yeah, it's still in the pits, but just getting down towards turn one. It'll turn sharply to the left while the GTD Pro lead battle goes past on the outside. They're on the track as the number 73 Orica is still going around to rejoin, but that is really tight. Tommy Milner leads the class, number 4 Chevrolet Corvette. 0.3 of a second behind though is Max Hesse. He got in between those two works, the Chevrolet Corvettes, and is making a real push for BMW Glory.
Did want to finish off the LMP2 news. There were a couple of incidents that were reviewed. No action taken in either case. One was the spin for Misha Goikberg down in turn 1. That was reviewed, no action taken. Another one was involving George Kurtz, and then also the number 11. That's David Heinemeier Hansen. So evidently George Kurtz, we thought maybe he lost it on his own down into the International Horseshoe. There was contact, we are told, but it was ruled incidental by race control, so no further action there either. But nevertheless, it's been a big setback for the CrowdStrike by APR car 04, which now has dropped back to 7th in LMP2, had been running well inside the top 5 prior to that. Just a couple of minutes away from 15 hours to go. Battles all over the racetrack, but a chance now to do our VP Racing in-race update. And in the GTP class right now, it is Lawrence Vanthor showing the way in car number 6 for Porsche Penske, leading the sister car by 1.7 seconds. Julian Andlauer, who had prevailed in a duel with Vanthor in the previous stint before they swapped places during the most recent pit stop, sits in second. Then another 5.2 seconds back is reigning IndyCar champ Alex Palou. Chasing him is his teammate Colin Brown, about 2.8 seconds in arrears. Rounding out the top 5 in GTP, Louis Delatraz in the best placed of the Cadillacs. It's the number 40 from Wayne Taylor Racing. To LMP2 we go. Christian Rasmussen, IndyCar race winner at the Milwaukee Mile last year, to bring things full circle. He's the race leader for AO Racing and Spike the Dragon. Currently, it's a 4.2 second advantage over Bijoy Garg. Then it's the teammate to Garg in Inter Europol. Car 343 with team boss Kuba Schmikowski currently driving. Daniel Goldberg sits 4th in car 22 for United Autosports, and John Ferrano in car number 8, Tower Motorsports, is 5th. GTD Pro right now led once again by Corvette Racing's Tommy Milner, although it's very close. Less than a second separates him from Max Hesse for Paul Miller Racing, car 1. That's a BMW. Then it's the sister Corvette of Antonio Garcia in 3rd, 1.3 seconds adrift. Ricardo Feller is 4th. This is the highest up the order I can remember the Manthey entered Corello Porsche. Currently shown in 4th in class, and he's towing along Nick Tandy, only a second back. That is in Rexy for AO Racing, completing the top 5 in GTD Pro. GTD, it's Antonio Fuoco leading Zachary Robichon, Ferrari over Aston by 4.5 seconds, then 1.3 seconds further back to the Turner BMW, driven by Patrick Gallagher. Then it's an IndyCar driver, Scott McLaughlin, 0.6 of a second back. He holds 4th place for DXDT Racing. Good recovery from them. And just behind him, recently a change of position, Lynn Hodanius taking 5th place from Lorenzo Patrese. That's Mercedes now ahead of Ferrari, 5th and 6th in GTD. That's your VP Racing in-race updates. We have ticked past 15 hours to go. good fights all throughout this four-class field as the race settles into a rhythm once again. Let's check back into the pits. Duncan Vincent has found Harry Tinknell.
Yeah, great to catch up with Harry Tinknell. A bit of a laugh there just before it. But Harry, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, not a bad way to spend a Saturday night.
It's a good fun time to be somewhere nice in January as well. But give us an overview of how the team's doing, how the car's performing.
Yeah, we're doing great. You know, it's the first iteration of this Brian Tours of Sport with PR1 Madison Racing partnership, and you know, we've just been going through our program through the Raw, and Ben did a great job in qualifying. You know, for P4, and we've been sort of up there in the race, and you know how it is. You know, you sort of cycle to the front, cycle to the back slightly, but right now the car's in one piece, and we're on a lead lap, and that's the main thing.
How important is it just to get through the night and survive it?
Oh, it's so important. I mean, you see from the very first corner in LMP2, you know, some carnage, some key cars, you know, with damage.
Started at 1:40 in the afternoon. I suppose that was still earlier today. We're now an hour away from midnight here in Daytona Beach, Florida. It is a Porsche Penske 1-2 in GTP with Lawrence Vanthoor leading Julian Andlauer by 1.3 seconds. Alex Palou, Colin Brown running in formation, third and fourth. And then it's a couple of Cadillacs, fifth and sixth. Louis Delatraz leading Jack Aitken. Ricky Taylor, excuse me, that's not right. Kuba Schmickowski has driven his way to the front of LMP2. I think we're in the middle of LMP2 pit stops right now, because we see Harry Tinknell leaving the pits on an outlap. Heard from him a few moments ago. Starting to get some of that star power in LMP2 in these cars. The likes of Christian Rasmussen and Paul di Resta, Harry Tinknell, Malte Jakobsen, Jo van Outert, all climbing aboard. This is what we've been waiting for. I think we're almost at the point where the bronze drivers are just about done, and now we get into some of these top-line drivers that make up the bulk of the LMP2 lineups.
When you approach the witching hour, who do you need? You need the big guns, and the good news for the drivers out there is that the mist that really was beginning to get lower above the giant grandstand, not necessarily down at pit level yet, but it has blown not fully through, but it's not wafting in banks past our window, and we can see right the way across the track to the back stretch behind the Ferris wheel and Lake Lloyd, and to the Le Mans chicane on the back straight, the left, right, left combination. So things are good, and maybe, just maybe, we won't go through the night with mist, and maybe we won't start Sunday morning when people come in and start thinking about breakfast with the inability to see very far at all. So that is good news, and it's been a good day so far, and I'd say the early stages of the race, there were quite a lot of full course yellows, but we've had the last 3 hours have been very good indeed. We're finding a pattern, finding a form. For those that aren't racing for Porsche Penske Motorsport, it's not the best of news, but we've got those two cars separated by about a second. In fact, let's wait as 307 laps are completed. It's going to be 1 second on the nose, but Alex Palou, in the better placed of the Acuras, is not that far behind. He's 3 seconds further back in third overall. But we really do things like you're loading Noah's Ark. We've got 2 Porsches, 2 Acuras, 2 Cadillac. Come on, BMW, get your 2 cars together. But they are separated in 7th and 9th position, because 8th place is the JDC Miller privately entered Porsche that has led this race, but it's out of kilter in terms with the competition. It ran a different tactic early on, and so it's shown great speed, it's shown the ability to pick its way up the order, but the true picture for that in where it is it's not the same as anyone else. You can carry on being not the same as anyone else until right at the very end of the race, but of course you want to end the race with almost no fuel in your tank, almost no tyre left, and take your car right the way to conclusion. But we'll see what they can do. But JDC Miller done a very good job so far, but for now they're splitting the 2 Works BMWs in 7th and 9th position. They're in 8th. Caden Frederick, who's really shown a fantastic, not just turn of speed, but consistent ability to place the car in attack progressively, and also to defend very well too. And it's not an easy job to do when you've got 60 cars trying to play on a 3.5 mile oval.
And he was a late call-up to this lineup. He was not on the original entry list. It was Bryce Aaron who filled that slot initially before that shifted. It was during the Roar Before the 24 weekend, that last weekend, that the entry list was adjusted to include the Marylander, Caitlin Frederick, former champion in British Formula 3 back in 2020. Won 9 races that year, 13 times on the podium. And a bit of a...
there at the moment. BMW leading for the moment on the pit stop cycles. The cycles of pit stops, though, are very, very long indeed under this yellow flag. Yeah, pit stop cycles that seem to play out over hours rather than what is a normal stint. And once again now it's BMW M Hybrid V8 number 24 leading from the 60 Acura of Scott Dixon. Then Raffaele Marciello in the number 25. Best of the Porsches, Julian Handler in 4th position. That's the car that's led in green flag running most recently, but that was over 4 hours ago.
Okay, I'm looking forward. I was trying to find a positive thing to bring to the equation, but let's face it, in the early running up until the mist fell, through almost every cycle, the 2 cars from Porsche Penske Motorsport, 6 and 7, have shown they've got the speed in hand in the conditions that prevailed. Given chase by the Acuras and the Cadillacs, by and large, BMW's not always in the picture, but here we are. I think when we have this truncated run to the finish, it means a car that isn't actually completely on point could still have a very much increased chance of getting a top result.
Well, also, we saw Porsche in the heat of the day being very, very good. They were worried about that pit.
Clarifying, I mean, it's unusual to see a Corvette have mechanical problems, but over the last few years, if they have had them, they've had them here at the Rolex 24. And they haven't yet, the factory team haven't yet won with this car in the GTD Pro era. So whereas AWA 13 Autosport won last year in GTD, so the car can do it, but they've just, for whatever reason, they've just not had the luck. I mean, very, very strange one indeed. Is there something to do with the fact that it was under no stress at all, just driving around for hours on end? Who knows? Like I say, if Pratt Miller mechanics are perplexed by it, then we certainly will be. More action in LMP2 land. Duncan Vincent, what have you been watching there down in pit road?
Yeah, interesting. Both Inter-Europol cars pitting together within a couple of seconds of each other. TDS, though, came in and managed to leapfrog the pair of them, which was a great bit of work from the number 11 TDS car. But interestingly, Peter, remember the last time that an Inter-Europol car pitted, it pitted right beside and behind Paul di Resta, but they've managed to do another couple of laps longer in fuel than the United Autosport car has.
That could be vital.
It could.
Particularly when you've got quite a short stint length. The LMP2 is the shortest stint length, around 40 minutes, give or take. So if you can put a couple of laps extra on that, that could be the difference in making it home without having to pit, rather than pitting for a little splash.
And they'll be already back timing to the end of this race with now 5 hours on the nose to go. They'll be thinking about how to position themselves to have the most efficient run to the checker flag if we don't have any more stoppages from this point, and that could very well play a decisive role in the outcome of this LMP2 fight here before it's all said and done.
So as we tick past the 5 hour to go mark, let's have a VP Racing Fuels in-race update.
Yeah, so I'm just having a look at this number 3 car still, and it's I can now identify exactly what it is that's failed. It's the lower wishbone that's just sheared at the front, literally in half, and it's come out to the having to strip so much of the side of this car. They've got the rear wing off, the inner wheel arch, some of the floor's got to come away, the side pod's got to come off, the door's coming off, and as I'm speaking to you right now, Antonio Garcia is getting out of the car, so I will see if I can get a word. I may not be too popular trying that, but I'll give it a go to see. But apparently it's the lower wishbone, it's completely gone. There's a new one there ready to go on, so mechanics working away, as you can imagine, flat out to get this sorted. I'm going to go across and try and catch Antonio Garcia, so I'll come back to you in a minute, guys.
A perfect way to kick off our VP Fuels Racing in-race update. Let's start with GTD Pro, because that number 3 Corvette, which along with its team car, the number 4 rear suspension failure that needs to be repaired. So that is the story in GTD Pro. Let's go through this VP Fuel in-race update from the top though, because it's Porsche Penske Motorsport that lead the way, 1 and 2. Matt Campbell in the number 6 from Felipe Nasr in the number 7. Kevin Magnussen is third in car number 25. Jordan Taylor sits in 4th in car number 40. Then it's Ricky Taylor, his brother, in car number 10. Both of those Cadillacs for Wayne Taylor Racing. Colin Brown in the first of the Acuras sits in 6th right now. Then it's Timon van de Helm for JDC Miller Porsche. BMW number 24, Robin Freitz. Alex Palou in the number 93. Acura in 9th place, and rounding out the top 10, it's Fred Vesti in the Whelen Engineering Cadillac. In LMP2, Alex Quinn is just taking a pit stop for the 04 CrowdStrike Racing machine, but will circle back behind the two Inter-Europol machines, 343 and 43, who are having a great run since we went back to Green Flag Racing and just over an hour ago. Number 99, AO Racing, Spike the Dragon sits in 4th. Then it's Tower Racing in 5th. The number 52 of the PR1 Matheson Motorsport with Brian Herter of Harry Tinknell, that's 6th place. 7th is Paul de Resta for United Autosports, having just served a drive-through penalty. Then it's the 37 Intersport car, the 11 TDS and 18 Aero Motorsport machines round out your top 10 in LMP2. GTD Pro, we just mentioned, right now is led for now by the number 911 of Ricardo Feller, who's just hopped ahead of the number 4 Pratt Miller Corvette of Tommy Milner. Then in 3rd it's Jules Gounon. Max Hesse, number 1, sits in 4th place for BMW, and rounding out the top 5 it's Ben Barker for Ford Racing, number 64 with their Mustang. And quickly through GTD, it's led at the moment by Robbie Foley for Turner Motorsport, followed by the 21 AF Corsa Ferrari, the 57 Winward Mercedes, the 3060 XTD Corvette, and the number 44 Magnus Aston Martin of Nicky Team, who's back on the charge. Let's get down to Peter Snowden in the pits, who's caught up with an Antonio Garcia.
Yeah, I had a very quick word with him. He's got his lid on still. He's obviously got out of the car, sitting there looking a little bit dejected, but he's got his lid on and his hand device still. So therefore, I'm going to relay what he's told me, because it's not the best interview with the crash helmet on. But he just said to me, he said, yeah, it just let go, and it was very, very close to being a far bigger incident than it was. I asked him where it was, and he just said he looked at me directly in the eye, piercingly, and just went, just breaking into turn 6. Think about that.
Yeah, not nice. Going into, thank you Snowy, thanks for going to chat to Antonio Garcia. Yeah, the braking point at turn 6 is 115 miles an hour, apexing just over 50 miles an hour. So yeah, this rear suspension lets go at that point. That's not pleasant.
Said it at the time when we got a replay of it. He did a fantastic job to keep it off the tire barrier. That was world-class drive.